What were like the most if there is an answer for this, what was the most like challenging story to write or parts of the collection to write, and then the more enjoyable stories or parts to write?
Yeah. So I think that a couple of the stories that were maybe more challenging for me were to write were Damn It, in which the main character is a little girl who is visiting a family member at an old house in their family that was once a plantation. And it's a child starting to think about how does a white person begin to think about race and the legacy of family as slaveholders, and also this sort of her burgeoning awareness that racism is a thing. And when is she going to start to take part in that system?
Yeah.
If she is. And so that one was tricky to figure out, like, her point of view and like where she was in that.
Right. So yeah, you play with that, like her becoming self-aware and then self-reflect like reflecting when she wants to believe that know what she questions herself, like how she's perceiving the situation. Yeah, I thought I that was one of my favorite ones of the collection for sure.
So that one was, I spent a lot of time with that one trying to figure out the finer points in there. And then another one is the first story in the collection, which is Don't Breathe, which has a two element and a scene of women talking about their experiences with sexual assault. And really, the focus of that is how it's really about a situation in which friends left a friend behind. So I didn't want the focus of the story to be the assault itself, but this
Sure.
sort of like the resonance years later of how the friends are still thinking about what happened. Um,
Yeah. I like that one too, and I like how I think it was a really good choice to put that as the first story because then it sets the tone, but it also yeah, because you wanna I could definitely see how you definitely wanted to make that point, but you didn't want that to be the point, right? Like you wanted it was about like, okay, we're all about women sticking together, but even like the main character, she's reflecting and she even comes across she comes to that realization in the moment where she's no she like giving her friends the benefit of the doubt. She was like, I don't remember the situation correctly. Like maybe they didn't see it that way. Maybe I wasn't, it's not their fault that they like forgot about me. As a reader, I was like, it makes you go over the fact that what maybe like you're justifying other people's behavior or like trying to explain it or trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. But like at the end of the day, it's like there's so many, okay, what's this woman's story? Like what was her time? What was her moment that happened to her? And
I,
that's the bigger picture. It's yeah, reflecting on friendship, but in the bigger picture, it's like every woman has some version of this story and it could be tied to soberness, it could be tied to inebriation, it could be tied to friends who weren't looking out for her, it could be tied to her own self-destruction, it could be tied and even whatever the reason is, the bottom line is nobody should be subject to that treatment no matter what, like, to the ultimate, like, result, like, nobody just don't rape people, don't sexual assault people. Doesn't
yeah,
matter if they're alone, it doesn't matter if they're a piece of shit, it doesn't matter if they're it's it doesn't matter what they're wearing, it's like, how about you just don't rape people? Like, how about why are you just looking at one part of it? Because it's not uncommon where in a group of women 14 women, whatever. Yeah, 10 of them at least probably have experienced
sure.
some form of this situation. And but focusing on that one character where she's here, this is what I've been thinking.
Mhm.
And it speaks to that like the woman's experience still like as women, I think we still try to explain it away. We try to make sense of it and we try to like say, okay, did we do something wrong? Was it their fault? Should we have been looking out for each other? But unfortunately, it's maybe they maybe at that point in the story when they're older women, yeah, I would never leave you. But it's back then, they're different people back then. So it's yeah,
Yeah, and I
I
mean,
really enjoyed that one.
by the end of that story, Delia, the main character, she just that's part of what she gets to is I can't make a story out of this, right? This thing that happened to me. And I think a story that feels like gets the whole truth of what happened or how she's felt about it all these years. And one of the things that I wanted to capture in that story or hoped to capture was just this feeling of how whatever might have happened to you at some point in your life. And as you said, many women, pretty much all women I know have a story
Yeah.
or have one of these, what I call the bad thing that happened, but how it never leaves you, that it's always hanging around so that you get in some different, you hear a song or you go to a certain place or you experience a sunset and all of a sudden there's that thing again.
Yeah.
And it's just like the exhaustion of never being able to like not have it popping up in your memory.
Yeah.
Um,
100%.
and that's one of the experiences this group of women is sharing.